many people have mysteriously popped up out of nowhere and claimed to be from the future. There are even instances where there are some really old videos showing people talking on what appear to be smartphones that wouldn't be invented for decades. And then there are people who swear that time travel's real and has already been invented. Some of the predictions these time travelers make are really interesting, to say the least. With that said, check out these 5 mysterious time travelers. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Michael Phillips. There seems to be an uprising in people claiming to be time travelers. And one of those people who's drawn a lot of attention to himself claiming that he's a time traveler is a guy by the name of Michael Phillips. And this guy is all about conspiracy theories, or he's simply a few fries short of a Happy Meal. Regardless, he's made some pretty bold claims and has said that 9/11 was an inside job to prevent an American Civil War which was supposed to happen in 2008. He claims that he was born in the year 2043 and joined the army when he was 18. He says he was handpicked for time travel experiments. His claim is that the attacks on the Twin Trade Towers in New York were orchestrated by a fellow time traveler to bring the country together. Mr. Phillips claims in the future he's a Secret Service member who's traveled back in time and learned what he says is the truth about the Twin Towers terrorism. But that's not all. In fact, we're just barely getting started here. Apparently, he now claims that there will be a, quote, fast and brutal World War III, in which North Korea will shoot a nuclear missile at Honolulu and the USA will retaliate, launching a nuclear retaliation that will take out millions in just a few short months. He's prophesized that it'll be Russia and China that'll be against the UK, America, and their allies. But wait, isn't that the current situation now? No one knows if Mr. Phillips is for real or not. The war's supposed to break out in 2019 and last for 3 years. The war ends when America sends nuclear-tipped cruise missiles and kills Kim Jong-un. He also claims that Donald Trump will win a second term in 2020, and that in the future, he actually tries for 3 terms, but is finally impeached. Oprah Winfrey will try to become president, but she'll be defeated by a man named Michael McIntosh. No one knows who this is, but he does. Good news for Elon Musk though, as SpaceX will land on Mars around this time. If any of this stuff comes true, then you heard it here on Top 5's first. Number 4. John Titor. John Titor was an internet sensation in the early 90s who claimed to be a genuine time traveler from the year 2036. Apparently, this guy showed up on an online forum around 16 years ago and claimed he was a future soldier. Along with this bizarre claim were warnings about nuclear war and corrupt governments. What a shock. But I digress. Titor first popped up in 1988, claiming he was from a parallel timeline where time travel was invented in 2034 by General Electric, the guys who make light bulbs and household appliances. You know, who else? In 2001, he explained his mission was to collect a vintage computer from 1975, needing it to debug computers back in 2036. His predictions about the future mostly failed to come true, like the Second American Civil War circa 2013, and sleuthing around the Titor phenomenon turned up at least one person who was not a time traveler who seemed the likely source of the hoax. But no amount of debunking can take away the weird and amazing details of this story. It's one of the earliest instances of internet folklore, and still one of the most fascinating. And the reason it became so fascinating is that he simply popped up on internet boards and started answering people's random questions. Probably things like, who invented the jelly donut? And is Donald Trump wearing a toupee, or is that thing on the top of his head actually real? Actually, there were more questions about the future in which many of his predictions didn't come true, such as talks of imminent problems across the world beginning in 2004, the cancellation of the Olympics, the splitting of the United States into warring factions, an epidemic of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, and a series of Russian nuclear strikes in 2015 that devastate all major US cities, along with the European Union and China. Wait, let me check. Yep, we're still alive here. After Titor successfully retrieved his IBM 5100, he made a pit stop in the year 2000 and then stuck around until 2001. During this time, he shared pictures of his time machine and uploaded diagrams and blueprints of it. When dubious commenters asked what he was doing in 2001, Titor explained that he'd wanted to gather photographs, ones he'd later lose in a future civil war. He wanted to visit his family too, whom he'd also presumably lose in the future. As abruptly as he appeared, Titor vanished in 2001. Number 3. Edward. It would seem that the time traveler thing might be catching on, and ever more time travelers are coming to save the world from disaster. Another person's come forward, and they claim they have some chilling information and proof of future humanity. He gave a secret interview and claims that he's from the year 5000. In the video, his face is of course hidden and his voice is distorted because he claims he was part of a top secret experiment in 2004. This experiment is what allowed him to travel through time, and from what we get from the rest of the story is that he's been far into the future and come back with some evidence, including a photo, on photo paper no less, showing a city that is completely underwater. He claims the photo was taken 3,000 years into the future. The city is supposed to be Los Angeles, which by everyone's prediction should end up in the ocean anyway from an earthquake that another time traveler says will happen in 2020. That whole story about California falling into the ocean apparently came true, and instead of abandoning it, Californians decided to stay living there, but underwater. That sounds legit, and also sounds like something Californians might be into. Edward, which is not his real name of course, starts to tell his story in a video where his face is blurred and his voice is altered, of course, and he says he's working in a Los Angeles laboratory when he was offered the assignment to go into the future and take photos. He ended up in this place and was standing on a huge wooden platform, and all the buildings were made of wood. He then realized he was in the same city, except it was underwater. While he was speaking to the people who lived in this timeline, they said the reason that LA was now underwater was from global warming, and the ice caps had completely melted. The story sounds pretty crazy, and the last time we checked, it would be kinda hard to build a huge underwater city using wood, since, you know, wood floats. Number 2. Brian Johnson. One of the more recent time traveler news stories to go viral was that of a 27-year-old man by the name of Bryant Johnson, the drunk time hopper who appeared in Casper, Wyoming, and while police were arresting him, spoke of aliens that apparently wanted to take over the planet. The whole, "Yeah, officer, I'm a little bit drunk, sorry about that" thing wasn't gonna work here. He then swore to police that he was from the year 2048 and that he'd come back in time to warn people about this alien invasion. In particular, he asked to speak with the president of the town, and only him. He'd meant to travel to 2018, but he missed and landed in 2017. Luckily for us, he still had time to warn us, since the aliens aren't due to arrive until 2019. When he was arrested, Johnson told the police the reason he was so drunk was that, quote, he was only able to time travel because aliens filled his body with alcohol. This space-time cowboy story went viral, for obvious reasons, but then, following Johnson's story, there's been an unexpected surge of time travelers. In fact, every week, British tabloids and news aggregators like Drudge Report seemingly push weird news stories about some guy who claims to be from a decade or more in the future. YouTube is chock full of interviews with these purported time travelers as well. In the typical confession vid, the time traveler speaks directly to the camera and nervously explains why he's come back in time to save us from the future. The time traveler knows he won't be believed. He also fears for his safety, but he has to come forward with the truth. Most of the time his face is blurred and his voice distorted. You know what? I'm sticking with it. And his voice distorted. Bryant was pretty hammered, as the aliens must have done a real number on him, with a .136 blood alcohol content level. Seeing how it's 2018, we still have a year to see if this thing actually comes true or not. Johnson, the poor guy, was arrested for public intoxication. It's not known if he's been back to the year 2048 or what he's doing now, but be advised, if he's found drunk, it's those damn aliens pumping him full of alcohol again. Oh, that Johnson. Number 1. Noah. The last time traveler on our list claims he's from the year 2030, and apparently has even passed a lie detector test, while at the same time he revealed a bunch of wild and weird predictions about the future of humanity. Because of these wild claims, his face is blurred and his voice is distorted for fear that he'll be assassinated. Some of his predictions include that once again, President Donald Trump will win a second term in the White House, which could totally become a reality. However, he also knows who the future president will be in 2030, and it's some totally random person by the name of Ilana Remeke. And another win for Elon Musk, Noah also says that humans are going to make it to Mars in the year 2028. But what's really interesting about this is that the same year we make it to Mars, time travel is supposed to become a reality, and Google Glass-style robots will take over the world. Somewhere, Elon Musk is saying, "Told you so." It's not known who's actually doing the interview or who has hooked him up to a lie detector test which shows on-screen results. But the video starts out with the usual, "Are you an actual time traveler from the year 2030? And when he answers yes, the word "true" appears in large green colors. Yeah, you can't fake this stuff, people. But apparently you can make it up. Noah does claim there is hard evidence to back up his predictions, but he isn't sure that he can reveal what this is because it could cause some kind of paradox. His sole objective is to prove to us that time travel does exist, in which he states, "In fact, I, myself, am a time traveler." He also claims that he was 50 years old but took some age-reversing drug to make him 25 again. Maybe because time travel is too hard on someone that age. He stated that the natural year to which he belongs is the year 2021, but he was, quote, "fired" and now is stuck in the present day. Noah has said that 2028 would be the year that private organizations admit to the world that time travel is real, after knowing about it since 2003. Speaking of paradoxes, I just hope we don't have to go back in time to redo this video again. Hope you enjoyed the video, Top 5ers. If you haven't already, check out our other channel, The Brilliant, to enjoy even more amazing list videos. There will be a link in the description, so make sure you go check that out as well as